सारे गुण गाओ, प्रेम सारे गुण गाओ, प्रेम सारे गुण गाओ, प्रेम सारे गुण गाओ, जन्म जन्म है राम, जन्म जन्म है राम, जन्म जन्म है राम, जन्म जन्म है राम। साई तेरो नाम, तेरो नाम, साई तेरो नाम, तेरो नाम, जन्म जन्म है राम, जन्म जन्म है राम, जन्म जन्म है राम, चरण तुम्हारे सद्गुरु साई, अपने हृदय बसाओ, अपने हृदय बसाओ, शिरडी साई पटी साई, शिरडी साई पटी साई, प्रेम साई गुण गाओ, प्रेम साई गुण गाओ, जन्म जन्म है राम, जन्म जन्म है राम, जन्म जन्म है राम। साई तेरो नाम, तेरो नाम,
அவங்க பாடுறாங்க, அவங்களே கேட்டாங்க சத்திய சொல்லி.
शुभ दिन आज मंगल गान करो, 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 प्रेम पवित्रम सुंदर अनुपम, प्रेम पवित्रम सुंदर अनुपम, प्रेम पवित्रम सुंदर अनुपम, प्रेम पवित्रम सुंदर अनुपम, सत्य साई भजन करो, सत्य साई भजन करो, सत्य साई भजन करो, सत्य साई भजन करो, मंगल गान करो, मंगल गान करो, मंगल गान करो, मंगल गान करो, शुभ दिन आज मंगल गान करो, शुभ दिन आज मंगल गान करो, स्वागतम साई।
Bless you. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Good boy.
Sorry, can you see? Can you see? It's outside.
Thank you.
ಫೋನ್ ಹಂಗೆ ವಚ್ಚಿಂದ
All three men are there. Until
Girls get home. Here you go. I have. Sunshine, come back. Look at the flower. Sit in the back. Yeah. Are we I will take her to the juice stick. The other juice.
She's sad for the art. Oh, what a falcon.
Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah. La ilaha illallah, Allah. सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
शरणं शरणं कारि गजानन Om
पराजित चोरा वृंदावन संसारा सत्यस्वरूपिणी मां साई प्रेम स्वरूपिणी मां
Diwali. श्री राम जय जय राम जानकी जीवन राम। श्री राम जय जय राम जानकी जीवन राम। श्री राम जय जय राम जानकी जीवन राम। श्री राम
A temple in my heart, prayer in my soul, a song on my lips, and I sing to you. Temple in my heart, prayer in my soul, a song on my lips, and I sing to you.
गङ्गजटाधर गौरी शङ्कर गिरिजामनुरमण
Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath. My life is my
మనం ఈనాడు సాధించవలసినటువంటిది దైవ ప్రీతి.
Today, what we have to acquire and achieve is love for God.
దైవం అవతరించడము, కష్టములను, దుఃఖములను, బాధలను నివారించి దుర్మార్గులను హతం చేసి సన్మార్గులను రక్షించే నిమిత్తమని అనేక పురాణములు, అనేక మంది పెద్దలు బోధిస్తూ వచ్చారు.
A number of scriptures and great people have declared that God descends on earth in order to remove all evil qualities and confer prosperity and happiness on man and save dharma.
ఇది సరికాదు.
This is not correct.
ఈ యొక్క భావము దీనికి విరుద్ధంగా ఉండేటువంటిది.
Actually, this is contrary to the existing fact.
భగవంతుడు అవతరించడము ప్రేమను బోధించే నిమిత్తమై,
God descends in order to preach and propagate,
ప్రేమను నేర్పే నిమిత్తమై,
in order to make people learn how to love,
ప్రేమనగా ఏమిటి అని ప్రజలకు బోధించే నిమిత్తమై,
in order to explain to people what love truly means.
కనుకనే అట్టి ప్రేమను మనం పొందినప్పుడే మనకు దుఃఖములు దూరం అవుతాయి.
Only when we can acquire such love, all our sorrows will disappear.
పాపములు అంతర్ధానం అయిపోతాయి.
All the sins will also disappear.
భీతి అనేటువంటిది కానీ మన చెంతకు చేరదు.
Fear vanishes and will become far away from us.
కనుకనే మొట్టమొదట మనము నేర్వవలసినటువంటిది దైవ ప్రీతి.
Therefore, in the very first instance, we have to cultivate love of God.
ఎక్కడ దైవ ప్రీతి కలదో అక్కడనే పాప భీతి సహజంగా షాడో వలె, నీడ వలె వెంటాడుతుంది.
Where there is love of God, fear of sin will automatically follow it like it's a shadow.
ఈ రెండింటి యొక్క ఐక్యత చేతనే సమాజంలో ఒక నీతి ఏర్పడుతుంది.
When you have both these things accomplished, then there is morality in society.
ఈ మూర్తులను మనం పోషించడమే మానవుని ప్రధానమైన కర్తవ్యం.
The most important duty of man is to foster all these three.
అది దైవ ప్రీతి, పాప భీతి, సమాజ నీతి.
Love of God, fear of sin, morality in society.
అయితే వీటిని పొందాలంటే వీటికి తగిన సాధన ఏమిటి, మార్గం ఏమిటి?
If you want to acquire them, what is the path? What is the way? How to get it? సాధన అని చెప్తూ వచ్చారు. They mentioned that it is సాధన. సాధన అనగా ఏమిటి? What do you mean by సాధన? మన లక్ష్యమును సన్నిహితం గావించుకోవటమే సాధన. సాధన refers to making our goal closer of our accomplishment.
Salam everyone. Welcome to Hill Sai Center of Cherry Hill. Wish everyone very happy Avatar Declaration Day and very happy Diwali. I believe we have few newcomers today, so if you would like to introduce yourself, I think you're Raghu, right? Just a brief introduction.
So my name is Raghav. I am from Dubai. I've been part of the Dubai month and I'm part of Young Girls over there as well. And you're doing my master's in finance at Villanova University near it's north of Philadelphia.
Welcome to the center. Anyone else? I may have missed. What's time now? Okay. So
The ladies side, anybody?
anybody else? I think.
This is Vivek's fiancé.
Okay, welcome.
Here's fiancé here.
Okay, so we'll quickly move on to the announcements. Actually, I'll be very quick today. We have been announcing every week women's wings are now Satyam Shivam Volume 4 reading and daily Supravatam chanting at 6:30 a.m. And we also shared an email this week. There was a 100 story on site, so just for all of your awareness. And regarding our center-related announcements on service, we just wanted to point out that the Narayan Seva is on next Saturday at the Mount Holy Shelter, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And just pass it on to Brother Mani for devotional announcements.
Hello everyone. Couple of things on devotional. One is next coming Saturday we have bhajans at Brother Rahul and Sister Sweta's residence. Email has been sent. Please RSVP. Can you have show of hands if you already plan to come? This way at least easy for the host as well. Rahul will come, I believe. Stand up. You get it on? Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone, and just it will be like close to 15 minutes of drive from the center, so you can plan and arrive there accordingly. 5 p.m. we will also have Sai Gayatri chanting for 21 times as well. And following up the Akhanda Bhajan, for Akhanda Bhajan there are two things. One, our center will be singing on November 9, November 9, 10:30 to 1:30. And those who have signed up, thank you. Those who have not signed up, please send your bhajans. Otherwise, getting multiple messages starting next week as well. And if you are here already, but if you just want to tell the bhajan, just let me know before you leave for today. That is also fine. And for the SSC, Sister Anita shared a registration link. Basically, all the SSC parents have to go there and sign up for their children. If you have 2 children, you have to sign up twice with the children name. And there will be a 3 mandatory option for them as well. So please sign up. All the bhajan sign up deadline we are giving us October 24. That is coming Friday. So please remind and sign up also on it. And then November 23rd we have Swami's birthday program at Medford Country Club. All NJ Sai Centers will celebrate together. Our center will do a play at 10:45 to 11:45. All our SSC coordinators along with Sister Kathy is putting together a wonderful play. I hope everyone can be on time and also participate, and there are many hands needed as part of the setup, help. So you will hear more the coming weeks. Just be available on 23rd from the morning and make sure the kids are energized to play on the day of the event. Having said that, this is all we have for today. Anything else?
For SSC play for next week on October 26th, we are having a voice recording for all the kids whoever is participating in the play. So please come to Kathy's home. I will send the address to all the parents, and please have all the kids there, and we'll have a plan for lunch also, and then we'll come to the center here. So please make all the kids available for the SSC play.
Time by 9:45.
10 a.m.
9:45.
9:45 a.m. Okay. Okay. Sure.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to the next part of our program today. So I'm very grateful to Swami to welcome Brother Chandrasekhar Sharma, our guest speaker today. Quick introduction. So Brother Chandrasekhar Sharma is alumnus of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. He did his bachelor's in Vrindavan campus and then completed his master's in biosciences and MBA from Prashanti Nilayam campus. He was fortunate to be a part of university brass band. He is ever grateful for having had the opportunity to learn life skills from the Divine Master himself. He has been an SSC guru, teaching Group 3 and 4 for last 18 years in Hill Sai Center, New York. He believes that process of preparing for SSC classes is itself an effective sadhana and enriching process. He particularly enjoys incorporating contemporary scenarios in the classroom discussions. So please join me in welcoming Brother Chandrasekhar for the talk today. And the talk is Swami Avatar celebrating the divine difference.
I offer my humble pronouns at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Sairam everyone. Beautiful day outside. At this time of the year, we take every day which comes like this. Right? And, it's fantastic. So first of all, thank you very much, Brother Amrit and the office bearers for having me today. Always these kind of sessions are always, it puts things in perspective, because with Swami, everything he said, there's always 100,000 ways of looking at it. Every time we read the same thing, meaning is different. Right? So I think my attempt today, we can keep it as interactive as possible, is to kind of, we all look at Swami in our own ways, and it's very unique. Correct? There is absolutely no same way everyone looks at Swami. So the goal here is, now put together my thoughts. Certainly today is a beautiful day. It's a combination of Festival of Lights and we are celebrating Swami's Avatarhood Day. It's a beautiful combination. So I'm going to attempt, in front of this learned audience, to share my perspectives and certainly hopefully finish it in the next 35-40 minutes, and then let's have a conversation, correct? I think, because each one of us sitting here, we have wealth of experience and perspectives to share. Having said that, the topic is celebrating the divine descent. So, I thought I can look at it in terms of structuring this discussion around, okay, what does avatar mean? Because that itself is, something which will give us an opportunity to start introspecting, around Swami. Because it's more like, nowadays, what keeps, I think, what is interesting for me is the so what piece of it. Yes, Swami came. Yes, we got to talk to Swami. He spoke to us. We saw him. We took Padamaskar. We got this. We got that. So what? Correct? I think that so what is something which is triggering a lot of thought process. I'm sure it's triggering for you too. So which is where I'll start with, okay, avatar means what? Correct? All of this is, pardon me, this is just a process of looking at things. Nothing is new in this conversation, but it's just that we look at it, in our own perspective. So if you can go to the next slide. So avatar is basically, in simple terms, divine decides to come down in human form. That's it, right? I won't read everything. what is there on the slide, but then we have heard about the Bhagavad Gita, Sloka and all that, right? At the end of the day, it's a beautiful opportunity for us to have the divine, I wouldn't call it divine, can be him, her, anything, right? It all depends on how we look at the divine coming in human form. That's beautiful. That just the thought itself is like, wow. Because typically, divinity is kept distant, correct? It's not something which, we kind of build a big drama around divinity, but divinity is for our conversation today, coming down in human form, and we have seen divinity. I mean, we have seen, we have heard, that's the context. Now, what is the meaning of an avatar, right? Again, if you go down to, if you can go to the next slide, please. Meaning, if you look at the specific meaning of, Avatarhood, it means literally coming down. So, coming down has various connotations, correct? It's like yes, the divine is coming down to our level to kind of uplift us. So many perspectives come from that particular definition of coming down. Then that sent me thinking, but why? If the divine is so powerful, why she or he has to come down? So this is where I think I'll just maybe repeat a story. Most of you might know it, but it helps in setting the context here. This is the Akbar Birbal story, where Akbar says, if the Lord is so powerful, now why the divinity has to come down? And in typical Akbar Birbal stories, Birbal never answers back. He just leaves it open, and something happens later, same thing, same story, same template. But then this is like cut and then take it to a scene where they're going boating, and Birbal makes it look like he's carrying Akbar's baby, right? And then he drops it in the water. Without missing a beat, Akbar jumps into the water, right? And then he realizes it's just not the baby, it's a baby doll. Now, and then obviously, the usual trend, Akbar gets upset with Birbal, same thing happened in this story too. But then the interesting piece is now Birbal says, okay, you are the king of this, entire place. You could have just told any guard to jump in and they would have done it for you, whether they like it or not. Why did you jump? Because you are, just imagine this, you are just a physical father who thinks you have to protect your kid. Imagine the Divine Father. The Divine Father will not stop going to any length to protect us. That's why she or he has to come down. Divine Father, Divine Mother. Right? So that kind of sets the stage, because I kept thinking, why? So what? Right? Why so what is the recurring theme in this conversation, right? So that story was fitting beautifully into this. Now, what is the significance? So all of this is great. None of this is new. Correct? The significance is, maybe if we go to the next slide, is the, if I may put it, the chance for us to experience the divinity the way we want it. Is it not beautiful? Yes. It's not like, and Swami used to say, right, like this is not, other, if you can call it God, divinity, you have to go. Here was one God who came, he told us to wait and he walked around us. So that was beautiful. So the significance of this specific avatar, what was important, again, we'll go through some examples, is how beautiful it is, right? To kind of, he created multiple avenues for each one of us to build our own bond with him, or is creating still. And it's amazing. And that's something which really struck with me, correct? And with that context, I will, because when he creates those channels for us to interact with him, which means we look at him as mother, we look at him as father, friend, maybe, when I get older, I'll look at him as my child, right? So everything is possible, and that's the beauty of, I would say, this avatar. Our beautiful Swami, right? I think none of what I'm saying is new, but I think, it's kind of bringing it all together. So with that, what I'm trying to get to is, I started reliving my own days, those beautiful 7 years I know we have some alumni brothers here, nothing like that. We'll give everything today to get back those days, beautiful days, very grateful for, those days. So I started looking at, okay, this is maybe, the definition, significance of avatar. Can I go back to my days when I was there physically sitting in front of him and recollect some memories, right? I thought that would be what to say, make it more experience centric, but at the same time, I don't want to miss out on the so what, because it does not mean anything if we don't get the so what. Again, it's my perspective, right? So I'll start first with, if you can please go to the next slide. So I was looking at, okay, Swami has created so many avenues for us to connect with him. So how did I connect with Swami, right? I think, again, when I was studying there, so I was fortunate enough to be in the university band. So this was interesting. I'm sure every alumni here will connect with it, and everyone sitting here will connect, right? So this is Swami as a mother. So the way he used to introduce us to people around, all the dignitaries come on us, this is my band, the best band ever. He was like, Swami, what are you talking about? This is how, this is the reality of it, right? Because when you are with Swami, he's like, just like you, just like another kid, right? And Swami will be going like, okay, they do things, and I will mention a few names too. He will introduce us as best musicians to Mr. Maynard Ferguson. If you know Maynard, he is a jazz legend, right? So now, all of this is great, right? I mean, you can feel beautiful, feel great, egos go up, all that is great. But then when we used to come back for, we used to have a beautiful band room in the hostel, and think about, okay, why did Swami say that? Because the why part comes here, the so what comes here, right? Why? We are certainly not what Swami said. That's very clear. We are not the best, band, But why did he say that? Because him or her as a mother wants us to go there, wants us to reach that, if we don't catch it, this is the beauty about Swami, I think, the way we see it, right? If we don't catch it, it's our loss. It's there. It's like what I call, in professional terms, self-service angle, right? If we take it, we are benefited. If we don't take it, we lose it, I think, But beauty is there. So then we used to kind of look at, okay, Swami is so much of love. He's telling us we are the best. Let's give it a shot, right? I think, and then the whole journey used to be like, we used to have multiple opportunities to perform in front of Swami, right? At the end of the day, it used to be challenging ourselves to pick difficult songs to play. Now, how can we make Swami happy? And it will be like only us and Swami would know. Right? No one else would know, because eventually song is a song. And those days we never used to, any case, but this was Swami as a guru. Again, very grateful for, like I said, right, learning these life lessons from Swami. So this was like, I'm going to narrate a story again. Again, back, I know this was a beautiful Sunday morning. We were back from bhajans. We came back, we were all relaxing, and then I got a call from a warden saying, Chandrasekhar, if you know Professor U.S. Rao, he used to be, this was during my MBA days there. So Professor U.S. Rao used to be the dean of the college, of the business school, right? So he said he wants to meet you, just go there as soon as possible. Okay, fine. I think then I dressed up and then I started. And if you know the Prashant Nilayam, the hostel is the second building when you enter the overall, the vicinity, and then you have to walk around 10 minutes to go to the college campus, right? So I'm walking and I'm thinking, why is he calling me, right, on a Sunday? All kinds of thoughts, right? There was no rational around why he was calling me. So I said, fine, let me go figure it out. Hopefully it's nothing bad, right? So I went there, and then Professor Rao was waiting there, and then he didn't know me. I mean, I was that obscure or whatever you call it in those times, right? And then he says, are you Chandrasekhar? Yes, sir, I am Chandrasekhar. Sairam. He said, sit down. And then he says, okay, you're going to speak in front of Swami for the International Finance Workshop. That was supposed to be the next week. I was like, my reaction, seeing me, he got worked up. And then he said, are you really Chandrasekhar? What's your registration number? He started checking everything, right? So then all kinds of things was going through me, right? I was like, this is all happening in 30 seconds. I'm like, Swami, why me? Why are you taking a risk? This is an important official function. Because, I mean, one half of it I'm super happy because I can go near Swami will talk to me, all that. But the other half is saying, no, you are not right. You just don't belong there. Right? It's nice, but it's good to speak in a maybe Sai Vrindavan kind of a setup where it's more like, just the students and, whatever you do, right? You don't. But then Professor Rao also reconfirmed and he said, look, you don't have an option. Then he pulled out a paper and said, look, for some reason, this is the same words he used. For some reason, Swami has chosen you and one more, he was a gold medalist, right? And you go prepare. And the other person was a Krishnamurti was absolutely a seasoned speaker, right? So then my walk back to the hostel took like 10,000 years, right? I had no idea why. So, but then I said, look, I think if Swami has, told, Swami has, there's something in it, right? Good or bad, I'm going to go through it, right? So then I got some help. Then the day came and then I went, this is like exactly, I was taking Padamaskar before I went to speak in front of that audience. Then I came back and I knew I didn't do a good job. Right? You know those times when look, you're supposed to do something good, a lot of expectations and I didn't deliver. Right? So I was very upset with myself because this was a chance and more than me as a chance, for me it was more like I let down Swami. Right? I think I was feeling first of all, then I started questioning him. No, why did you choose me? It's your problem, right? You all those typical conversations you have with Swami, right? Then I said, look, I'm sorry, Swami, I didn't, come up to your expectations, right? And then, Swami was going out. We got the chance to, be near the door. Then he straight came to me and gave me a tight slap. I mean, a loving tight slap. I was like, and then he said, and Swami spoke to me in Tamil, and he said, means I am there. Have self-confidence. And that shook me, right? At that time, I didn't realize, when it's happening, it's fun, right? Swami, I don't mind. 10 times I will take it. But then when you think back, what I didn't realize at that time was, I'm now in a profession where I have to keep talking. The only thing I do is talking, right? So he was preparing me for it, correct? I mean, obviously Swami's timing is not in the way we measure, right? It can be this lifetime or even the next lifetime. But then the beauty was how him as a universal guru was preparing me. Now I know it, but at that time I enjoyed it, right? But it's beautiful, it's timeless. I'm very sure every one of you has a similar way of, okay, this happened, maybe when something else happens, maybe 10 years down the line, 20 years, 30 years, then things, fall in place, right? I think that's one thing I thought, the guru aspect. In this case, for me, it was a universal guru angle of Swami. Then I will move on to the next one, which is for those of you who follow cricket. So this one, the context, we can talk about this example in multiple facets. Right? It can be the game, it can be all-round development, how Swami was focusing not just in the academics, but in, all round, both physical, mental, everything. But the point I want to cover here is, is love and empathy, right? That is a piece where, when Swami tells it, it will look very simple, but no one will think about it before. That's the beauty of those moments. In this case, the example was, all the cricketers were coming and we were super excited. Imagine serving Sachin Tendulkar, serving Saurav Ganguly. These are all names, big cricket names, right? So we were excited, but we missed the point. Then Swami came and said, okay, when they come, go and ask them, what is it specific they want? Then he said, Swami, no, go ask them. Then we used to go. I was in the band, so we were given access to these people because we were closer to the ground and we were practicing, so we were given the additional responsibility for serving these cricket players, right? So we went, we asked them, and then they said, yes, we need one thing, we need to eat bananas in between a match. That was such a simple thing. Nothing complicated about it. But if we didn't ask, why on earth will we keep bananas in the pavilion? Absolutely no. A simple thing from Swami, then we went and told Swami. Yeah, I told you, right? So think about it. Here is Swami, absolute embodiment of empathy. Correct? He's thinking exactly, okay, what do they want? And he's not like, he can just tell people to go keep bananas. How much time it will take? When he says he'll keep 100 baskets of bananas, right? He didn't. That's an opportunity he created for us to learn. And then it is very simple till he says it. Right? I think, or it's not simple till he says it. Correct? It was beautiful. That's the way, and in fact, just the lighter side, you have the best of cricket players there. You have Zahir Abbas, you have Clive Lloyd. Name a player is standing there, right? So anyway, that's me as a cricket fan speaking here. But the beauty of this was every opportunity, different hats as an Avatar Swami was wearing. It all depends on how we look at it, correct? So I'll move quickly to one more and just check on time. 4:40. Okay. So this one is again, Swami as a divine healer. This one was, very special for me because this is regarding my mother. She was a great devotee and huge inspiration for me. And she was diagnosed with a very severe disease. And this was back when this is Vrindavan in Sai Ramesh Hall. So we were, and we can look at it in two ways, right? She, as an ardent devotee, she decided, no, I will not go to the hospital. I go and tell Swami has to tell me what to do, right? And we were arguing with her, look, if Swami, then why did he construct a hospital? Right? So, the usual thing, right? Okay, Swami constructed the hospital because, we need to go through, there's a process for things. She was adamant. No, I don't care. Go tell Swami, whatever Swami says, I'll go to the hospital. So it was a very difficult, now I'm retrospectively talking about it in a very, what to say, it's a good memory eventually, but when it was happening, it was difficult, correct? Because it didn't sound right for me because Swami would not like it. Swami would expect us to go to the right hospital and get things done and pray, right? I think whatever happens is fine. So, any case, I think this was like 25 days of me, and that year Swami didn't go to Kodaikanal, so he was staying in Bangalore. So, me going to the warden and requesting, every day I'll go and sit, the usual cycles, right? You will ignore, all those things happen. 25th day, that is the photograph there. I said, look, now I don't, it is silly of me to go through the process, but then what? I think that's what Swami wants you to go through, right? So that day Swami comes straight, okay, mother, and then he creates this vibhuti, and that vibhuti was smelling like medicine, and said, go give it to your mother. That's it. The point is, there are multiple messages from this, right? Swami could have given this 25 days before. Why? Why he did not do it? Why did he do it after 25? We don't have answers for anyone. Obviously, my mother got cured. All that is given. But then, the so what, why question is what? I was asking my mother, why do you think, Swami? She said, look, maybe it's my karma to experience it. So, the messages, the learnings come from different directions, right? For me, my mother was, I think, what to say, that is the inspiration, correct? I think she was like, on one side you can argue, hey, you did this not right. On the other side, it's like huge inspiration to have that kind of faith with Swami. That was something which, obviously, Swami as a divine healer took care of her. But there's another aspect of Swami. I will close with one last thing, which is where it gets into, if you can go to the next slide, please. If you can just build the whole slide, I don't know, for some reason it is, just build it, I think next. So this is something, I try to zoom out, right? This is all having very personal experiences with Swami. But then this experience of being a guru for especially group 3 and 4, it's quite challenging, right? Challenging is an understatement, right? Because you're kind of sitting there and these teenagers are staring at you, then I freeze. It's very difficult taking a group 3 and 4 class. But then, again, this is also, like I said, it's also sadhana, right? Figuring out how do I connect with them? How can we, bring in topics which makes it interesting for them? So I was doing some research to figure out, okay, I can just simply talk about my experience. Then so what? What does it mean for them? Doesn't mean anything for them, correct? So then, this particular I was figuring out, and then this concept came through. This is called social determinants of health. What struck me was, and this is not new, this is a very established concept in public health. What struck me was, I'll go through one by one, and I don't need to explain after that. There are 6 facets of it. I'll start with the blue on the left and go clockwise. The first one is health access. Second one is education. Third one is neighborhood built environment. So fourth one is social and community context, and then economic stability. That's exactly what Swami did, right? So that was beautiful. So when I used this to communicate in that SSC class, first of all, for me it was like, we don't need to connect the dots here. If we just take the SDOH concept, that's exactly what Swami did. That is something revelation for me. It is revelation meaning it is something which, Swami simplified it for us. But there is one ingredient which is not there in SDOH, which is obviously the spiritual angle of it. We can do the same thing without that spiritual context to this whole thing, right? So the spirituality is the seva and the sadhana piece, which is something which, in fact, we had a good argument about that, in that particular SSC class, because if you look at it, seva is the angle which purifies the mind to do sadhana, because it kind of brings us down. If you remember the way back in the day, Narayan Seva used to be called poor feeding, and Swami corrected it, saying no, it is Narayana Seva, right? Which is why it kind of purifies the mind to do sadhana, kind of brings down our ego. And the sadhana is the one which gives us the right mindset to do seva. So all of this came down to, at the end of the day, when Swami says, what seva does to you is more important than what seva we do. That was something which went very well. I think, that particular SSC class was super interactive. But that's the statement I want to kind of, pause and then, finish my first part of this conversation, which is, eventually it comes down to that seva, what seva, does to us in terms of the transformation. And again, going back to when the divine comes down, it's for basically divine descent for spiritual ascent, right? Because all of this is for a goal. The goal is to transform ourselves, how to lose ourselves with this and go back to Swami at the end of the day, right? So that's something which I just thought I'll share, my perspectives. With that, let me conclude. But yeah, I think, please, I'd like to hear, I'm sure you'll have your thoughts, comments, questions, but again, thank you for this opportunity. I thoroughly enjoyed preparing for this and having this conversation, because it brings us back to, connecting with Swami. Thank you. Sai Ram. It's not Q&A, I think.
Just the interaction.
Yeah. I can't answer this question, so any case, so.
No, we have time, so you are right on time. Thank you so much for the foundational thoughts and sharing. So today is the Avatarhood Declaration Day. Actually, it's tomorrow, October 20th, and it's a Diwali also. It's a confluence of two nice events. We are grateful to Brother Chandrasekhar to come here and share some of his very intimate experiences. I will get the conversation going, so if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, kindly feel free to share that. Keep your comments short, because there might be many people who might have questions. So I'll start. We didn't plan this, so we'll just see where it goes. So, brother, you were touched by Swami and Swami's love, and you have the conviction that Swami is your divine guru, and it was so nice to see some of those stories. How does that translate in your day-to-day life and profession right now, in your current life, where you work as a householder, as a professional? What are some of those teachings that you bring to your life?
Yeah, great question. I think the way I have kind of, again, it's a process, right? The definition of prayer has changed for me. All right, the prayer, it's not about asking something, because sometimes what I ask is not what I should get. So it's more like, I still want to pray. Obviously, prayer is the connection with Swami. But then I'll come back to prayer can be more personal, but then the professional thing can be different and all that. But then the definition of prayer is more like, give me the power to, accept what is coming my way, right? That is one. From a professional side, it's more like taking all these things, right? That empathy. Like if someone is not performing at work, go to the depth of it and figure out why she or he is not doing something. In 99% of the time, there is something going on which they don't want to, it doesn't come across in a bigger forum. But just to take that extra step, they open up, right? And it's not necessarily solving the problem. Just the fact that acknowledging that, yes, we know you have a problem, and we can figure out ways to, deal with it, right? So that's the angle. It's coming back to this, right? It's more the empathy piece, and how Swami thinks about both bigger picture and tactical angle at the same time. And we have seen it. If you look at the example, I still think how L&D engineers felt when the Sai Kulwant Hall was built. I still remember those gates were, how many times they reconstructed? Some 10, 15 times. Right? So that's an example, correct? Where he didn't stop till perfection was achieved. And yes, a lot of people went through a lot of things. So he was able to get it again. Going back to it, right, that the whole thing about empathy, how do you plan, how do you ensure that you are touching everyone and they understand the intent behind things, the intent being the operative word, right? Not necessarily solving for it, but at the same time we are there, showing up. That's a word, cliched word nowadays, but that's what Swami did. He's doing today too, right? I know I'm not answering your question in every single way, but I just thought I'll just share my thoughts. Yeah.
No, you did answer. Thank you. Maybe I'll turn to ladies' side and then come to the gents' side. No, let me check. Because, yes, Fran, could you pass the mic, please?
I want to thank you for that story, which I was unaware of, that the king jumped in to save the baby. It was a dog, because it gave me a visual of Swami jumping down on earth and helping us, because only he could do that. And that was very, very touching. I was very moved by that. And then I also liked the part where you spoke about performing for him, because I had that honor several times in the Sai Symphony, and I always felt unworthy. But with his grace, I worked extremely hard and learned my part, the notes and the ensemble, and I would listen even on the plane going over constantly to make sure I wouldn't miss one entrance. But once there was a mistake in the orchestra and they came in a beat early and I was heartbroken and I didn't catch it, so I thought I did wrong, but I didn't. So that was wonderful. And then Maynard Ferguson, I haven't had the blessing of actually going to his house. He lived in Ojai, California. Wonderful family, so sweet and so humble. And I remember when he went to teach the boys there, and that was such a wonderful thing. I'll close.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we have one from Rahul, and then I'll come.
You talk about that experience of Swami saying,
Mike's not on.
Swami saying, I am with you, and the self-confidence aspect.
Yeah.
So, was there a process that you underwent to develop that self-confidence, or it was like an instant thing that?
No. I think it's still a process. It is still a process, but I think this is where Swami as a catalyst. Swami as is with us, right? So I think it's a good mix of effort, because what he doesn't want to do is like okay, I can do anything kind of stuff, right? There's an effort which goes in, but then giving up, once we put in the effort and then giving it up to Swami and saying, look, whatever happens now, you want it that way, right? I think that's the process which helps me, right? Which means, but first comes effort, giving the time, and after that just giving it to him, right? I think it can go good or bad, you never know. Many times it has gone, even today, many of my client pitches go wrong. I think I attribute that to Swami too, absolutely. I think he has to take the brunt of it. But then that's a conversation you have with him, and at the end of the day, you will feel comfortable doing that. I think that's the beauty. I think what I realize is over time, the output doesn't matter. You are comfortable whether it is good or bad, right? I mean, that's still a journey, but that's the journey I think I'm aspiring for. To be honest, I'm not at there, but I want to go through the process and smile whatever happens. That's the process. But we know Swami is with us, but it's certainly not a point in time conversation, right? It is work in progress. Yeah. Thank you.
So
We have one, Sister Anjali.
So I particularly like the saying what you have there. What Seva does to you is far more important than what Seva you do. I personally want to ask, I know you have come from Flushing where you might have been involved in a lot of Seva activities. What did Seva do to you personally? What is the feeling you have, or any changes what it had brought in you?
So it's basically number one was acknowledging what we have first, because being grateful for that, right? Because when you see certain things we take for granted, and when you are involved in seva in different scenario, I'm very sure everyone here is involved in some form of shape. You get to see what is granted for us is not obvious for others. That kind of, sometimes it's disturbing for me, because it's like, why I got that versus the other person, right? Then it's like, goes so deep, right? So yeah, so I think that's the piece. I'm grateful, absolutely grateful for what Swami is giving us and keeping on giving us. That's the one piece which keeps me, keeps me going. Being grateful to Swami. I can't imagine not knowing Swami and leading a life at this point, right? Because that's the kind of support Swami has been giving us, giving our family. Absolutely. Grateful is the one word I will say. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Then I will come back to you. Your brother, Sai
My question is very similar to Rahul. So, when Swami has said to you that have faith, I am there with you. Now, my first question is, now when he's physically not there, so what do you do, to keep that, that thought process? One, and B, like, did Swami, in his physical actions, show you that he's there, like, really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for me, I think that's why I thought when this happened, 2011, when he left his physical form, it didn't have any impact on me. My wife was super shocked. There are only two reasons, right? One is either you're too insensitive that, what happened didn't affect you, or, the other extreme where you're too evolved, which I'm not, right? Which means you're too insensitive, and that was one more reason for my wife to come after me. But coming to your question, I mean, I would say it's a blessing. To answer your question honestly, it didn't have any impact on me, right? I think I was trying to figure out why. I don't have an answer, because I didn't try to look at it like before in physical form and then after and all that stuff, right? It did not affect me. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but it did not affect me. For me, Swami is there and he's doing everything, absolutely. He's with us now. Absolutely 200% confident about that. So that transition did not happen for me, good or bad. Yeah.
Thank you. I think anybody from the ladies' side? Let's see if others have a. We have a couple of hands. Okay, is it? Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say two things. That moved me greatly also when Swami hit you and said, because it's like, wake up. I am there. Have confidence. How could you not have confidence? How is he not here? He's everywhere. That's such a great reminder. And secondly, the Flushing Center, I just want to say I moved to Flushing, New York a long time ago, when the Flushing Center was in the Tejpal's house. And we moved there because of the center of bhajans every night, the family, and then once a week. So that was a special connection. But and then Seva, interesting thing happened, and you can Rahul can verify this. When we do Seva, we can't be attached. So I had this project in mind for the center. This was only last week. And so Rahul said very wisely, wait a week and see. So there was this connection where we had a chain of people giving clothes to a shelter in Camden for battered women, and it was very underground to protect them and prepare them for careers and this whole thing. It suddenly fell apart right before this week, and I thought, wow. So I was moved to do it, but I was attached to it. So when it was taken away, I said, Swami, now you tell me where I should donate these clothes. Today, I found a friend of mine. She knows exactly where to send the clothes. But it was just his grace and his different direction and his guidance to tell me what to do, but not what I want to do.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You had a comment or a question? Yeah, Mike is ready.
Sairam, thank you very much for inspiring talk. I really like this divine descent for our spiritual ascent. Swami created this organization to awaken the divinity within us. And Swami has a perfect formula, We have the spiritual, devotion, Sai literature, we have Seva, and we have, SSC and all that. Swami has declared it Avatar Day, so we also have to look inside and say, how can we awaken the divinity within us every day? Like we said, if you look around, there are different avenues. If you have a skill set, how can you help? If you have money, how can you help? So there's opportunity to do seva every moment, every day. Seva is not just taking care of your family or relatives or somebody close to you or the Sai Center or the Sai organization. Seva could be anywhere and everywhere. So Swami awakens us by giving small examples, Here's a cricketer, here's making sure somebody comes to your house. What does a person like, What should I serve him rather than serve him what I like, So, all these small examples, and Swami has put so many inspiring speakers, in front of us, all these Sai students and others who have been in the Sai for many years. You see the transformation and you get inspired, Growing up, we were lucky, many of us, to be born in a very spiritual family. So our parents inspired us, our grandparents inspired us, or in some cases, your older siblings, your older sister or older brother inspired you. So it gives an opportunity when the students, the SSC students are here, the students in the third group are inspiring the students in the second group, and the second group are inspiring children who are in pre-SSC. So it's all about what can I do? How can I make this a better world? So if we start thinking along those lines, it makes you so happy. It makes you so happy. Like you said, we're so grateful being born and raised in this beautiful country, a free country, Yes, it's not perfect, but what can I do to change? You can always pray. If you can't do anything, you can always pray. Swami says, Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. So there are a lot of opportunities. So it's an awakening time for us every day. Sairam.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment. So we'll take one or two. I think two people have their hands raised. Both from the same family, but we'll take that. Can you pass some? Mike?
Right here.
Thank you.
Sairam brother, very inspiring, life experiences. So I know Swami has mentioned about like purification, and he has focused on that as like a daily sadhana, and just like as a personal thing. What are you doing as a personal sadhana to keep your inspiration up and to keep your divinity living in a daily basis?
Yes, I think it's a great question because I think there's only one thing I do, right, which is empathy as a word, correct? I think obviously at home we are, right? Sometimes we are forced to be, but overall, I think one thing which is helping me is how to understand where the other person is coming from, right? Not being judgmental, correct? I think two words I would say. One is empathy. Second is how to not be judgmental. That's very tough, but I think it's a journey, right? Because the moment we are not judging anyone, we judge everyone, let's face it, that's what it is, that's a normal human tendency. But how not to is one thing which is helping me. Because every time I go a bit deeper into that, if I get into a conversation, not being judgmental is helping me come out of it much better than being judgmental, right? Because we put in our bias into this, and and people are opening up, right? I think that much like I said before, right? We might not solve the problem, but at least the person will acknowledge that, okay, this person wants to at least, like what Swami says, speak, if you can't, then at least, obligingly the same thing, right? But yeah, answering your question, right? Empathy, which is a cliched word, but trying to be less judgmental. Let me say, not judgmental is not happening at this point. At least how to be less judgmental. That's the that's the real answer. Yeah. Madhuri.
Sairam, thank you so much for this beautiful talk. So you've had a lot of experience teaching Group 3 and Group 4 kids, and there are a few Group 3, I see Group 3 and Group 4 kids here. I would like to know, I would like you to tell us what advice do you have for Group 3 kids on how to see SSE? Like, they have a lot of distractions outside of school. People, not everybody they interact with our side devotees. They might be spiritual, they may not be Swami devotees. But what are the few basic things that they should really imbibe at this age, based on your experience, where it can give them a certain a different perspective as compared to other kids, where how can you, if any advice you have for them at that specific age?
Yeah, I know we have experts here. I will be attempting this, but I think based on, again, this is all we learned. SSC, especially Group 4, 3 and 4, as a SSC guru for that group, you learn a lot. Right? I think one thing what I have seen is to kind of, spirituality is not like when you come for bhajans and then go back, right? When we go to school, there is spirituality in it. When you take the school bus, there is spirituality in it, right? So, and that's not going to happen in one conversation, correct? I think initially, it's going to be challenging. But I think what we have seen, again, based on multiple batches of SSC is, one thing is how to see spirituality in their school day. Just pose that question. What comes back will be very interesting. Right? Initially you will hear all kinds of things, but if you insist on, and if you persist is the wrong word, you persist in that same conversation, what comes back would be truly insightful. And like they will come, I know there was one kid who came back and said, hey, there was one girl in the class who was, in simple terms, a bully, right? But then when this girl had a conversation with her, what turned out was she was having a troubled domestic situation, right? Just the fact that this girl went to her and had a conversation broke ice, right? I mean, that's one example. It's an extreme example. There are examples where just reach out. I mean, again, this is a very tricky conversation because, there are nuances here which we have to educate everyone about. At the same time, it's not an on-off switch. This will not happen in one SSC class, It has to, I think one thing what we are learning is how to ensure that, because every time this week there's a guru, next week there's another guru. The continuity is the key, right? So how do we, and everyone goes towards something which they are comfortable with. Me as a SSC guru, I'll be comfortable talking about something. Same way with another SSC guru, right? So there's no advice, but then there's a process angle to it. I think I would say the process is more important on how you kind of bring it down to day-to-day activity, number one, and number two, it's not just about Sai devotees, it's people. I think that's the angle which has to come through, right? I know people who don't know Swami who are much better Sai devotees than, I mean, there's no, again, I'm judging, right? I'm sorry. but in the context of this conversation, right, broadening has to happen, right? It's not about someone who knows Swami is more spiritual than someone who doesn't know Swami, right? Swami is there in everyone, right? That's the angle. It's a process. It will not happen in one conversation. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll take one last question and then we'll.
Thank you so much for such a lovely presentation. My question is, I don't know, that's a problem of mine. I have this, like, when walking in this, like, spiritual path, there is, like, an accelerated phase when I'm, like, I feel like when I'm taking one step towards Swami, Swami is taking, like, 1,000 steps towards me. And then I feel like elated and happy, and then I'm like, oh yes. And then there's like a lag time where I feel like I'm like standing there, and then Swami feels like very distant, far away. So to kind of like break that ice or like bring that consistency, like what do you suggest to proceed with? I know consistency probably is the key word, but sometimes, most of the time, I'm like lacking towards it. So if there's like a simple, like how Swami puts things like in a simplest way, if there's like a simple practical tips that you can kind of like share.
Wow, that's deep. Yeah, honestly, there's like, I mean, there's an answer in your question itself, right? That consistency piece. And one thing which, again, it's a sadhana, right, which we're all doing is not to worry about the outcome, but focus on the process, right? I think that's the only answer I can give, because I don't think I'm there to give you an answer, but at least from an approach perspective, which is what I'm also doing, right? Not to worry about, because sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it'll be bad. How to be balanced in both the situations, right? That's the only way. I'm sorry I'm not answering the question, but I have the same question. But yes, that's why I think that's why the satsang is important, right? Where we are with like-minded people, with Swami guiding us, right? So unfortunately, I don't have an answer. But what I know is, consistently, if we do this, what we are doing, one day we'll be there, right? That's the only answer I have.
Thank you so much, brother. Before handing the mic for the closing, on a lighter vein, you said that SSC makes you wiser, more learned. Did you lose your hair before SSC?
I think it's a combination of, like I said, I have 3 women at home. Sorry. And yes, I mean, certainly not because of the SSC kids. I can tell you that. I'm very proud of them. Right? In fact, they gave me ideas how to look bald and younger. So
I'm asking that because I have started to lose my hair. So I just wanted to.
You look. I'm telling you, as a bald head to another potential bald head, you look better as a bald head.
Okay, go Eagles. Right? Okay, money for the closing remarks. Stay there, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, now 2 + 1, third ball there. In the process, probably. Thank you, brother, for all the way coming from New York and sharing all the divine experiences, right? Which never can go out of our heart. And as you said, we can give anything in our life to go back to the divine time where we all be with Swami and feel his simple love and touch. So that cannot be taken. But before that, the purpose for any divine avatar to come to the world is to solve the one or the other issues which a humankind goes through. As Shirdi Baba, when he came, there was a difference between the two religions. So he came and there was a process of telling about there was all are same, there is no differences between the religions. And same when Swami came, the message is only love, love, love. Whatever you do, it is the only love. That's a love we all able to talk, and we are celebrating this 100 years of divine celebrations this year. And what else will be the good time to speak about Swami in its 100th year? Always it is love, is the only message. And thank you, brother, once again for all the rich and clear experiences. As a token of love, I request Ramani uncle to hand over the token of love to brother.
Shanti.
Paramartha Ishtartha Moksha Pradhanam Baba Vibhutim Idamashayami. Sacred miraculous Baba's creation, holy promise, holy creation, granting us the greatest wealth, Lord's divine protection. Beloved Baba, grant us liberation.
Thought for the day. All the festivals of Bharat have an inner divine significance. In Bharat, the festivals are celebrated to prove the eminent divinity in humanity. Deepavali also teaches a sacred inner meaning to humanity. No other element in this world is as significant as light. It is the light that shows us the way by dispelling darkness. It is because of the light that man is able to attend to his daily duties. The flame of a lamp has two significant qualities. One is to banish darkness, the other is a continuous upward movement. Even if a lamp is kept in a pit, the flame is directed upwards. The ancients have taught that the upward movement of the flame denotes the path of wisdom and divinity. However, the external light can dispel only the external darkness, but not the darkness of ignorance in man. When Hanuman set Lanka ablaze, though there was light all around, Ravana's heart was filled with darkness. Ignorance is the cause of birth and death. One with ignorance is born again and again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. But the one with wisdom has neither birth nor death. Divine Discourse, October 19, 1998. Sai Ram. From darkness, lead us to light. From death, lead us to immortality. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
I didn't make it yet, but yes.
Just a reminder, we have to vacate the hall by 6:25 so that the start
Tell, I saw one of the tops had a head on it. I was like, oh.
Exit is good.